see the world in a different light. I see a different light. They say I'm wrong because I believe in a different light. Under the same moon, but I see a different night. All on the same world, but I live a different life. Yes, we have our differences because of differences. It's hard to be close because we always keep our distance. But the difference is, you're a slave of who owns you, and I split that life.
You on? Mic check 1 2. Mic check. Just make sure it's good on the YouTube. Make sure everything's straight. Yeah, I already know. I hear me. Most High in Christ. We're gonna start in a few moments. But share, like. You know what I'm saying? All right, if you could just pass me a tissue or a napkin, whatever. If y'all have one. Oh, well. All right, let's get started. We the ISUPK starting at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We've been doing this since 1969, letting the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians know that you are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And today we're doing the series, The Destruction of Black Streets. You know what I'm saying? We continue it and letting so-called our people know that the oppressor has destroyed our towns multiple times. You might not know of it, but there's been plenty of black places and towns and businesses that our oppressor has destroyed. If you don't know, if you go back to the series, we go over a few of them of the towns that we had and that were destroyed. Either if it was put under a lake, they burned it down, they kicked us out, they lynched us, or a mob here and there. Listen, there was always a black town, and right after that is the oppressor chasing us out, or for something either we didn't do or they claim we did something. You understand? But if I could, let me get this scripture that we always start with. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7. Mm-hmm. If I could, you also put the chat for the All right, Most High in Christ. Let me know when you get the scripture.
Deuteronomy 32 and so
Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Mm-hmm.
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7.
Uh-huh.
Read. Remember the days of old.
It says what?
Remember the days of old.
Mm-hmm.
Consider the years of many generations.
Right. As always, when we go over this scripture, which is always important, it says, remember the days of old, consider the years of many generations, because you have to remember the old times. Because if you don't, how can you remember? How can you go forward with your culture? You have to remember how it was back in the day. You have to remember what happened to your people. We like to always talk about the Atlantic slave trade and this and that, but what about other stuff? What about biblical stuff? It's good, but you need to know everything that happened, and that's why you have to start. It starts with class here in the ISUPK at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. It starts right here in class. It starts right here with these series. You learn about your old towns. You learn about businesses that Black people have, Hispanic people have, Native Indian people have, and you want to know why is it not there no more? What happened? And this is why you have to do what? Baratazar?
Remember the days of old.
What?
Remember the days of old.
That's right. It says, remember the days of old. Keep going.
Consider the years of many generations.
Consider the years of what?
Many generations.
That's right. Consider the years of many generations, man. Don't just worry about you at this moment. Don't just worry about you. And not only that, don't worry about the future. Don't worry about your kids. I don't want to say like that. Worry about your kids. You know what I'm saying? But worry about what happened before. So you can worry about your kids in the future. Because if you don't worry about what happened before, your kids is going to be doomed in the future. They're going to suffer the same things your grandmother suffered through, you suffered through, your mother suffered through, your brother, your father, your whole generation. You want to stop generation curses? Well, stop it by remembering the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. That's where it starts. Because when you consider the years of many generations, you realize what? Oh, this happened to our people. That happened to our people. And who was there? The oppressor. The one that's always making these laws and Jim Crow laws or slavery this or whatever, the civil rights that, whatever to keep us confined, whatever's to keep us slaves, whatever's to keep us on a regular machinery, 9 to 5, this and that, come home, sleep, eat, take care of your kids for what, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, go to sleep and repeat. You don't even have time to teach your kids about your culture, right? About your family. Hell, we don't even have, nowadays, the money you making that you go there and spend 40 hours ain't even enough no more. So it's important for brothers and sisters to remember that remembering the days is old, consider the years of many generations. Keep going, Praza.
Khan. Ask thy father.
Ask thy who?
Ask thy father.
Ask thy who?
Ask thy father.
Ask your father, man. That's why your fathers did, to make sure you understand certain things, man. Ask your father, and what it says?
And he will show thee.
Yeah, ask your father, and he will show thee, man. It's important. Ask your father what happened to him when he was a kid. Ask him how it was to grow up in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Hell, we was just watching a movie. What was the name of that movie, Professor? We was watching.
Aaron Loves Angela.
Right. Aaron Loves Angela. Like an old 70s movie. Concert. Old 70s movie. And right there, it was right in Harlem. Harlem was in shambles. They doing a movie right out of a house, right out of an abandoned brownstone. Your father gonna tell you, listen, when I grew up, we didn't have the houses was just the get. They were just abandoned. You had a first come, first served. Think I'm lying? Go look up that movie. What was the name of it again?
Aaron Loves Angela is about a black and a Puerto Rican getting together.
Yeah, a black man and a black girl, a Puerto Rican girl getting together, and they trying to hide it from their parents. You know what I'm saying? But it's more to the story. But the point of it is, father was going to tell you how he grew up in the 70s and the 80s. And guess what? Actually, your grandfather. And it's going to say that. Go ahead, Prozda. What else it says?
Khan. Thy elders.
Thy what?
Thy elders.
Your grandfather is a what?
Elder.
Your grandmother is a what?
Elder.
Ask your elder.
And they will tell thee.
Yeah, ask your grandparents. Ask your grandmother, grandfather. They're going to tell you how it was in the 20s, the 30s, depending on how old. If you have grandparents, that's the thing. If you have grandparents, because damn alone, most of us don't even know our grandparents. Let alone you don't know your father. Listen, if you don't know your mother, some of us don't know our mothers or fathers. Let alone having grandparents, you don't even know your goddamn parents. Right. You have your oppressor taking care of you, and all you know is you all bunched up in one apartment building like Annie. You know what I'm saying? Singing and dancing while cleaning. You Annie, and she getting a check. But it says ask the elders, and they'll tell you. Your elders will tell you about these sundown towns. They'll tell you about what? The Jewish people that's being bastards right now, thinking that they're the real Jews. They'll tell you what they were doing in the Bronx, in Brooklyn, and all the boroughs, trying to kick black people out. Still trying to kick black people out, man. Ain't nothing changed. That's why it's letting you know we should consider the days of old. We should consider our father's generation and our elders' generations, man. Keep going, Paradas. I'll finish up.
You want verse 8, sir?
Yeah, what verse 8 says?
I'm going to say verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance.
Now, you could drop that.
Come.
You could drop that. But if I could, right, let's get right into it. Article's pretty well, not article, but the discussion of this is pretty long. So if you could, right, go to the first the paper clipping.
Come.
If you can put it on the screen, that little newspaper clipping. This is what we're gonna go over. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So read that real quick. I know the people can see it, but read it so people can see. I mean, so they can hear it.
Con. Notice how been posts in various towns of.
I think it's called how it's pronounced was Comanche. I was trying to look it up.
Comanche County,
Right.
Texas, warning all niggers to leave under penalty of death.
Right. So right here is letting you know it's a notice. Remember, this is 1886. It's from a newspaper article. I believe it's April 16th or something like that. 1886. And it's saying notice have been posted in various towns of Comanche County, Texas, warning all niggers to leave under penalty of death. So right there is letting you know, listen, we trying to they kicking us out. And if we don't leave, it's gonna a death sentence. Keep going.
Con. And it is fairly declared by the whites right. that no color no color people will be allowed to live in that section. And yet Texas is said to be the most progressive.
To be the most what?
Progressive and liberal of the states in the South. Comanche County. By the way, Cass 1826. Vote for Cleveland and 90
for
Blaine.
Right. So right here is just letting you know what happened during this day, right? So what we're gonna go to the other link I sent you. You can X that one. I'll go to the other link and read from. You can read from the top. Because this is old. This is from 2006. But it lets you know what happened during this time. What happened in what Comanche County? Listen, I gotta find out how to pronounce this. Sorry. I know I'm butchering it all wrong.
You just start from the top, sir?
Yeah, start from the top.
Come. There you go. Sunday, July 9th, 2006. All difficult history is local and rise with depression regulatory to this day.
Start with says driving out blacks.
Oh, Con. Driving out blacks left scared across America. Violent explosion.
That's what they did when they kicked blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians out, right? So I'll get the definition for you, for people who don't know. Right? It says removal. That's just plain. It says removal. But another one says the action of depriving someone of membership in an organization. The process of forcing someone to leave a place, especially a country. So it's letting you know expulsion. You know what I'm saying? They kicked blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians out. They removed us from this place. So keep going.
Expulsion over 6 decades, all but vanishing from history.
Right.
Yet created a checkboard of danger and intolerance that remain today. By Elliot Jaspin.
Right. So that was an author that wrote a book, right? So that was one part that he's explaining what happened. So if you go down, it says Washington Bureau. It says these stories contain explicit racist slurs, right? So it says it is America's family secret beginning in 1864 and continuing to approximately 60 years. Whites across the United States conduct a series of racial explosions. They drove thousands of blacks from their homes to make communities, lily white. In at least a dozen of the most extreme cases, blacks was purged from entering counties that remain almost exclusively white, according to the most recent census, right? Explosions were violent and swift, and they stretched beyond the South, but they remain largely unacknowledged in the standard history of America. While it is impossible to say exactly how many explosions took place, computer analysts and years of research conducted by the Washington Bureau of Cox newspapers, which owns the American Statesman, revealed that they occurred on a scale that has never been fully documented or understood. So that's letting you know that all these evacuations of kicking blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians out, they've been documented, but not fully. You understand? That's letting you know, listen, it's more. It happened more than what is documented, but they don't know how much more. You know what I'm saying? I could tell you how much more. It was in every place where so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indian rest their head. If there was a town with black people in it and you was flourishing there, or you was on a spot that was good and they wanted to take it over, guess what? They're going to kick you out. They're going to remove you, expose you.
Salaki. So actually, I was about to say that because a lot of these black towns.
Make sure you separate. Make sure you have both the screens, and not just the.
Come.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was saying, sir. Yeah, a lot of these black towns became all white towns.
Right.
Actually, when they disposing after they disposed the occupants of those towns. So
No, I understand. Right. Let's see what
analyze.
The analyze points the score of racial expulsion that are rarely, if ever, mentioned in the numerous books, articles, and movies about Americans' contentious racial past, and even less has been written on the legacy of these expulsions. I am actually less surprised by the number of instances of this that you've uncovered than I am by the extent of the historical failure," said David Garrows, a former Emory University law professor and Pulitzer Prize-winning biographer of the Rev. Martin Luther King Jr. Think about what a huge lecture has been produced in the last 25 years on lynching, right? So it goes more and more into it. If you drop all the way down, right? Right, all the way down. It just says 1886 expulsion, Comanche County, Texas. You see it?
1864, 1886. You said
1886. If you go down, keep going. It's pretty far down. Keep going. Boom, right there at the bottom. You see that?
Come.
So it talks. It's gonna get into what happened that day.
Con. 1886. Explosion. Was that
Comanche County.
Comanche County, Texas. A mob score Central Texas County. Permanently ripping its population apart.
Right. So it's by Elliot Jaspin, West Washington Bureau. This story contains explicit racial slurs. It says so. Right there, it says Comanche. Read that.
Con. The force of several thousand.
No, it says 700.
Sorry. 700 vigilantes had already murdered one man when it rolled into Comanche in north central Texas.
Right.
Sometimes after sundown on Monday, July 26, 1886. Town and County, a local newspaper reported how the vigilantes brought a message to the 40 or some black living in the seat of Comanche County.
Right.
Leave the county in 10 days or be killed.
Right, listen, and that's like, right off the back, they said leave the town in 10 days or be killed. So these people, it says in July 26, 1886, they call these how the vigilantes brought a message to the 40. So you gotta let people know vigilante. So let's Google that, right? Google it.
Oh, God.
You don't have to put it on the screen. I'll do it.
Oh, you have something?
Right. It says a member of a self-appointed group of citizens who undertake law enforcement in their community without legal authority, typically because the legal agencies are thought to be inadequate. So it's letting you know, listen, if they can't do their job properly and get blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians out, we're going to come together and mob them out and destroy them out, or whatever your oppressor does. He feels like doing at the time to drive blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians out. That's what he's going to do. Go ahead.
So, if I may, and you know what I'm saying, and the blacks didn't do anything to those people to promote.
We never do.
To promote them, you know what I'm saying, driving us out.
To promote them to violence, to murder. You know what I'm saying? We never do. We don't do anything. Like always, we always keep to ourselves as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We don't want to do nothing. All we want to do is work, go home, have fun, whatever, party, blah, 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 hang with our families, this and that. That's it. But the white man, he can't. He gotta murder, he gotta kill because he's lustful. And
then Salaki, so if I may, and we was trying to avoid to walk down those streets anyway.
Right.
So we would take the long way, so nothing, because we know something will happen to us.
Right. Exactly.
3 days.
Yeah, keep going. All right.
Oh, 3 days earlier, such a threat against the county of the largest black community will have been. Is that?
The country's largest black community have been unimaginable.
Imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
But that
wait. It said 3 days earlier, such a threat against the county's largest black community would have been unimaginable. So it's letting you know 3 days ago, nobody would have thought that the black town, this town that we live in, a Comanche county would have been gone, telling us to evacuate. It's unimaginable. Keep going.
Oh, but that was before Sally Stephens was murdered.
Before what?
Sally Stephens was murdered.
So that's what they said. Before a white woman was murdered, it was unimaginable. So let's see what they say. Keep going. Allegedly murdered.
A black farmhand was lynched, and a Confederate veteran whipped his neighbor into a racist frenzy, equally unimaginable.
Right.
The mob handwork endured to this day.
Right.
Although more than a century have passed, the county remains virtually devoid of African American.
Right.
Through its Hispanic population have grown to about 21%.
Right. So this is during I believe the time of 2006, because this is an old article. Go ahead.
There was a fight on the Stephens farm on the Saturday morning. Sally Stephens was murdered.
Right.
Her husband, Ben Stephens, was going to the town of Comanche, about 9 miles away.
Right.
Tom McNeil, a farmhand, went to go along.
Wanting to go along. Keep going.
Want to go along. The story of the day now reside in old newspaper clippings.
Right, like the one we showed.
Oral history and local historical compilations.
Right. So right here is letting you know this story. It says the story of that day now resides in old newspaper clippings, oral history, and local historic compilations. So it's letting you know that nobody, like, all you're gonna learn from this story is from either an old newspaper article. So like, I lost the place. This is an old newspaper article. Blah blah blah. So like, where was it again? It's like old newspaper article, oral history from who? Your oppressor. He makes the newspaper articles. He does the oral history, the historical compilation. That's from the oral history and the newspaper articles. Right. So you're getting the story from the perspective of a people that hate you, a people that oppress you, the people who want your town, the people that don't want you to live there no more. So what? Now you get the story from your oppressor, and of course it's going to be false. Of course it's going to be negative on so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. But keep going, Professor.
During the summer of 1886,
right,
the farms of Comanche County was burning under a relentless sun. The town of Comanche,
two salons,
a few stores, and the county courthouse.
Right,
was not much. But McNeil begged to go.
Right.
Ben Stephens would not hear of it, leaving McNeil to work the field.
Right. So the white man is, remember, the white man is Ben Stephens. This is the woman that supposedly got murder's husband, and Tom McNeil is supposed to be the slave. You know what I'm saying? And the farmhand, and he wanted to go with him because I want to go to this town. I've never been here. So it's letting you know the town of Comanche, 2 salons, a few stores, and a county courthouse was not much, but McNeil begged to go.
So they call him a farmhand,
right?
Like an animal,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like cattle.
Right. That's what they thought we were, cattle slavery. But keep going.
Was it the only other people left on the farm was Sally Stephens and 3 children.
Right.
The oldest, a daughter, just 6. Most accounts agreed that the killing seems seamless.
Right.
Sally Stephens planned to make a cake for a friend wedding.
Right, friend's wedding.
Headed to the barn.
The barn.
Heading to the barn for eggs. McNeil came in from the field and took a single barrel shotgun from the house.
Mm-hmm.
The story passed down within the family of Ben and Sally Steffen is that McNeil waited by the back steps. Sally Steffens saw him, tried to run away, and was shot in the back.
Right.
McNeil dropped the gun and ran. When neighbors found the body, a man rushed to the J.W. Green store where Ben Steffens was buying supplies.
Right.
And cried, Steffens, Tom has killed your wife.
Right.
According to the recollection of the incident years later by James Nadders,
right?
Nadders, one of the vigilantes.
Right.
Within hours between 250 and 500 men.
What?
250 and 500 men.
So think about that. Listen, this alleged story. The white woman, Sally, went to a barn to get some eggs. Our brother, so-called McNeil, so-called, shot her in the back and just ran. So this man, what was his name now? Tom? Wait, no, what's the guy that they said? James. So James ran all the way in town to get Ben. And Ben, you won't believe what happened. That nigga killed your wife. It just seems too coincidental.
So it said that when she went in the barn, he went into their house to grab the gun.
Right. While she was in the house, he went and got the gun to murder her. You know what I'm saying? Allegedly. But let's keep reading. What else does it say?
Khan. Within hours, between 250 and 500 men was hunting McNeil.
Listen, and that's lets you know how violent our oppressor is, man. One white woman died, one white man died. He gets 250 to 500 people for a town. Remember, this is supposed to be for one man, but he wants to get rid of all blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. He don't want one sight of no one there because of the bloodshed of a so-called precious white girl. You know what I'm saying? But when a brother dies, what happened? Don't nobody want to show up. They don't want to show up. They don't give two damns about so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. A black girl goes missing. What she gets? She gets a refresh button, a share on Facebook. But when a white girl missing, goddamn, the president talks about it. You know what I'm saying? The president wants to know what happened to such and such. Where's Sally? She's been missing. I met her mother and her sister, and we discussed the plans on how we're going to search for Sally because she went to the beach and she never came back. Well, our daughters and our sons walked the goddamn school, and nobody wants to bat an eye. All they want to do is send out memos that are white vans around the neighborhood and watch out. Well, if it was in a white neighborhood, they'd be chasing every white van around, locking people up with white vans. But keep going, Paratha. What else it says?
Khan. Their query alone on foot was pressing northern towards Stephenville.
They query alone and on foot was pressing northeast towards Stephenville, right?
Stephenville. Khan. There was little doubt among whites that Tom McNeil should be lynched for murder.
Right. There was little doubt. So listen, they always like, yeah, listen, man, let's hang him. Let's hang him. We do it anyway. I'm not gonna tell you not to hang him, but I think we should hang him. That's how our oppressor thinks, man. He thinks the first thing you should do is give him a death penalty. Damn, a trial. He did it. I know he did it. 250 to 500 people just agree and ain't see nothing.
Salakia, so that, if I may, those people, you gotta realize that's a lot of people. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? A lot of family and a lot of children and
Right.
and you know what I'm saying? And a lot of wives was making food for that lynch mob.
Right, of course. A
looking
lot
for
of
these
generations
people.
there.
A lot of
A lot of
generations.
babies, a lot of grandmas, a lot of
Big
little
event.
children. They having picnics. They out there having fun in this, getting ready to watch a so-called brother die, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian brother die over something he allegedly did. They didn't even go to court to find out. They just said, yeah, he did it. He was the last one at the house. He did it. Keep going, Parazai.
McNeely should be lynched for murder Sally Stephens.
Right.
But unlike other recent hangings, conduct in secret to shield the identity of the killer, McNeil's lynching would be a public spectacle.
Right. So right here, they like, damn, hiding it. We gonna make sure. Listen, and this is how you know it's for glory right here, because they ain't hide it. They're letting you know. Listen, we gonna show you who killed this. We gonna show you our faces so they can know we had justice for Sally Stephens. We ain't gonna hide it this time. Why? Because it's justified in their eyes. Keep going.
That a black farmhand had killed a pregnant white woman was not the only reason.
Okay, keep going.
Okay. In 1886, the rule of law was a hit or miss affair on the Texas
fronter.
And white and black was equally at risk. There have been at least 4 lynchings in
Comanche
County before McNeely's 3 of whites
and 1 of black.
3 of whites and 1 of blacks.
Right. So listen, the fact that they count on their hands, like, listen, we hanged 3 white people already. It was only 1 black lynching. That's letting you know they're trying to justify it. That's like, listen, we hear this all the time. That's like when a white person say something racist. It's like, I'm not racist. I got a black friend. I know plenty of black people. I know Jimmy and Tom and naming all these black people. I know Darnell. I know Stephen. Listen, I could count on my hand. Listen, they've been doing this for years just to justify their lynching. They said, listen, we lynched 3 other people. But did you gather as 500 to lynch the white people? Did you have a court case for the white people? Did they actually do what they did to get lynched? I'm pretty sure they did. But with our black brother, Tom McNeil, I'm pretty sure he ain't do nothing. Right. She just died, and the master told him to go home. And next thing you know, he's probably getting ran down. I'm like, what? I was sent home. I was with master. I didn't kill her. Just to justify this lynching. But go ahead, Parazak. Keep going.
Comanche County did not have a jail until 1876. Even then, county officials faced what one called a floating population exposed, chiefly composed chiefly of a reckless class who always go armed and ever mountain and ready for escape.
The nearby town of Haysdale, founded shortly after the Civil War, so 9 of its first 10 residents died violently. McNeil was captured by a man heading to church. Heading to church on Sunday and turned over to the post. News reached Comanche that the Negro had been caught near Stephenville and that he would be brought back to Stephen's house where he would be lynched. Town and County reported on July 29th, 1886. The lynching was set for Monday noon. McNeil was held overnight at the farm of Green Sanders, a local Confederate veteran. The next morning, farmers and townspeople began streaming down what is now Texas 16 to a field about a mile from the Stephens farmhouse. By noon, approximately 500 people had gathered. 63 years after the lynching, James Naber, who by then was 92 years old, recounted the day for Bill Lightfoot, a University of Texas history student who compiled oral histories of Comanche County while writing his master's thesis. According to Nabers, the hanging got off to a bumpy start. A deputy sheriff arrived and tried to wrestle McNeil from the mob. He was hooted down. Listen, you gotta understand how crazy this is right now, or how violent your oppressor is. You gotta know the sheriff came. The mob had him. The mob of 500 oppressors and white people had our brother. And remember, the sheriff had to wrestle through them. Let me at him. Where you at? There you go. And threw him down. Dragging him. Throwing him down, dragging him. Right? So, Russell McNeil from the mob. He was hooted down, told that his services were not needed. The hapless deputy bade them a pleasant good evening and rode away. The town and county newspapers reported. Then came debate over whether McNeil should be hanged or burned alive. Recalled Nabers, who was interviewed in 1949. So in 1949, he was 92, talking about this incident in 1886, right? So his account was saying, listen, the sheriff came while we had the mob, blah, 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 wrestled him away from the mob, told us our services was no longer needed, and took him away, right? So that's his story. As the mob members argued, Ben Stephens had to be stopped several times from shooting McNeil on the spot. Nabers recalled. Nabers recounted some of the conversations before the hanging. Now, boys, the law of our land says hanging and not burning, said Zach Hustler, the dead woman's father. So we're just hanging him. A rope was thrown over the tree. McNeil was placed in a wagon and driven under it. With only seconds to go, Hazley turned to his daughter's killer. Tom, we're gonna hang you, and in 2 or 3 minutes you'll be dead. I want to ask you some questions, and you'll be dead in 3 or 4 minutes. So it won't do you no good to lie. Tom, did Sally mistreat you? Hazley asked. No, sir, McNeil said. She's the best kind to me. Did he plan to kill her? No, I took down the gun when I came to the house to kill a hawk, but it flew off, and then I shot the lady. Then what in the name of God did you kill her for? Just for meanness? They botched the hanging. Sloggy. A group of men pulled too hard on the rope. McNeil hurled skyward, slammed his head into the tree limb, and it broke. McNeil fell back to the earth. A teenager climbed the tree and reset the rope, and McNeil was pulled up again. So, see, these bastards, listen, asking them questions, right? Asking them, why'd you kill her? Just for meanness? Right? So wait. It says they botched the hanging. So I'm guessing right here when it says they botched the hanging, they messed up the hanging. So when they try to hang him, it messed up. So instead of that, they said, let's do it again, reset it. So they had a little boy, remember, a little boy that climbs trees and do this. He ain't flying a kite, he ain't playing ball, he ain't doing nothing else, but he's here helping a so-called black Hispanic and Native Indian brother get hung. You understand? So let me see. They botched the hanging by a teenager climbed the road, and McNeil was pulled up again. The crowd had gathered for one purpose: to watch McNeil die. But Green Sanders, the man who had guarded McNeil overnight and faced down the deputy, had other plans. Sanders, a Confederate veteran, is remembered by his last living descendant in Comanche County as a prickly man. Leo Page said Sanders would fight a circle saw. I don't even know what that means. Would fight a circle saw. As McNeil's body twisted lifelessly nearby, Sanders jumped on a stump to hung-rag the crowd. Let me see what that means. Hung-ring. Let me see. Hung-ring. So let me see. 1 second. Trying to find out. Look up. Hung-ring. A length or aggressive speech. All right, so the Sanders jumped on a stump to hung-ring the crowd. So he basically got up on a stump and was just telling the crowd, "We gonna do this, we gonna do that, we gonna do that," to make the crowd hype the crowd up, basically. So Nabas said the boys is the second killing of white people by Negroes and is more than people will put up with. We give the Negroes a reasonable time to get out of this county, Salagi. Never allow them to return, and never allow one of color to settle here. All who are in favor of my proposition, come about this stump. The crowd surged forward, and Sanders called for a vote. The crowd was unanimously in favor of this move. Nabas recalled. The explosion ripped the white community apart. The vigilantes, mostly from outland farms, were most intent on expelling blacks, while white townsfolk, accustomed to living with blacks, rebelled against the idea. So right here is letting you know that, right? And this is just let you know how white people are, right? Our oppressor is. The people on the farmland, they were like, listen, we got to get these people out of here. We got to get these niggas out of here. You know why? Because the people on the farmland, they're working. They on the farms. They doing the work. They doing this. They doing that. They know how to grow this. They know how to grow that. While the people in the town, what they do? They use the black people to do everything. Of course, they're going to be like, nah, listen, you crazy. We can't kick all these black people out. Can't kill these niggas off. Why? Because who else is going to do our work? Who else are we going to do this? What else are we going to do at? The point of the funny thing, why some of the parts of the Civil War happened. Because what? The South was making so much money. Listen, I did a class on this. Listen, it's unbelievable how much the South was making. It's unbelievable. I'm telling you, there's no amount of reparations, the water, that our oppressor could give us to pay us back. It's too much. It's too much that they will have to give us America. And you know they ain't gonna give us America. Parataza.
The South was making so much money that they wanted to separate away from the Union.
Right.
And Texas was going to be, you know what I'm saying, was going to be the capital of the Confederate.
Right. Listen, they were making, I'm telling you, they were making bread. I'm telling you. I forget the article. I don't even have it on me. But there's a picture that tells you how much, I believe it was South Dakota or somewhere in the South that made so much money. You know what I'm saying? Not like sir. Listen, you think they're making more money now. They're not. They're making less money now. I'm telling you, the amount of money they were making back then was exponential. I'm telling you, they was making billions every year. Billions upon billions. And you got to remember, this is tax-free. Now we're at least being taxed. But back then, I'm telling you, every southern state, billions. This, that, cotton. I forget what was the cotton state. It was either Mississippi or some other state in the 1700s. They're making one time they made over like $90 million. In today's money, that's like, it was almost $1 billion. So you remember, every year it goes up, it goes up, it goes up. They're trying to beat the other states. So every year they're making this, they're making $1 million this, $1 million that, $1 million this. Listen, I'm gonna do a class on it again. But listen, you gotta remember, you gotta look at it like this. At that time, you gotta look at how much the average man was making. They were making cents. You bringing cents home. The average man is making 30 cents an hour, this and this an hour, or whatnot, bringing $100 and something dollars home in their paycheck. While the city is making billions, they're making millions for their time, millions. That's why their towns can have this. That's why white people are walking around this and that. Why? That's why they have carriages. That's why they have that. Because the amount of money they're generating from us picking cotton, for us growing foods, taking care of the cattle, doing this, doing that, building this business, building that business, all labor free. The city is flourishing. And guess what happened? The North is like, what the hell is going on down there that y'all want to separate? They did the investigation. They were like, listen, they're making a killing down there. To the point you gotta realize they're doing exportation. They're getting other countries involved. Why? Because they're making so much money. We don't have to trade here. We could trade with other businesses, other places. And that was a no-no for the North. And that was one of the biggest reason why the Civil War happened. But besides that, right? Let's go back to where we were. Where were we?
Explosions rip the white community apart.
Okay, right.
Right under, let me see.
Right, the explosions ripped the white community apart. The vigilantes mostly from out front. Right, we read that. All right, the day after the hanging, 55 people, including some of the town's leading citizens, called what came to be known as the Law and Order meeting at the courthouse. Though it did not have the force of law, it was spontaneous demonstration of support for the besieged blacks. Townspeople anonymously approved a resolution that we regard the demonstration in the town of Comanche on last night in ordering the Negro population out the country as uncalled for, wrong, and lawless. Town and county reported. The resolution prompted an editorial in the paper denouncing the mob rule and the expulsion of blacks as a grave crime. What connection is there between McNeil and the rest of the race is this community, and especially those who are known to be as harmless as the most inoffensive white man? The most inoffensive white man. The paper acts in front page editorial when it arrived in town. The mob went from house to house warning blacks that they had 10 days to leave or be killed. So they went to the house to house letting black people know, like, listen, give a damn what that newspaper said. Y'all gotta leave in 10 days.
So our oppressor is such a devil, because you gotta realize there's families in these houses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's little babies in the houses. And remember, this is not one or two people rolling to these houses just say you have 10 days to leave. It's a mob of people with guns, you know what I'm saying? With guns, telling the family you have to leave in 10 days.
Right.
Or you're gonna die.
God. The reason I said more is because of sports and music. So I understand what you're saying. The music and the sports. I understand. So I understand. But even though, right, with the sports, when they do the sports, they remember the reason why I'm saying they made more back then, because even blacks in sports can write all that off. They get this, they get that. We're getting paid for it. Imagine we had the sports, right, and not getting paid. Imagine all that was supposed to get paid from the sports. Imagine that. Because remember, that was a time that happened during the Maccabees. Imagine all those sports and music and all what you were supposed to get paid. LeBron James get paid bills and this, and it don't go to you. It goes back to him. What? Here's your check, and then I thank you because this is your tax. All you made is the taxes for this and that. Well, but I understand what other one's trying to say. You know what I'm saying? It is a little. It might be more, but the point I'm trying to say is, remember, this is the state alone. Remember, like New York, people might not know New York make money. We pay for other states. Why? Because the New York is a state that makes a lot of money. Some states don't make money, so some states get money from what? Us. So you gotta remember why is it because of that? A lot of the southern states, because of the Civil War, because they lost all that money from slavery to the point now. The ironic part is what the northern states got to pay back the southern states. We got to help them out because they're not making as much money as they used to. You know what I'm saying? But so like keep going, Parazai. Where we left off.
Let me see, 55 pounds over. Through it did not have the force of law. It was spot.
Wait, I'm trying to find it. Spontaneous. That's what
Yeah, come. Spontaneous demonstration of support for the besieged blacks.
No, we read that part. You have to go down more.
Oh, that's what down.
Yeah, I misplaced the part. Right.
Reporter.
Right. No. Grave crime. Blah blah blah. Go down. All right, I got it. As the days progressed, the gulf between farmers and townspeople grew even wilder. Because the lives of black and white townspeople were intertwined, the mob's explosion order left both in a quandary, according to the Lightfoot's oral history and news report from the time. Business owners faced the loss of needed employees. So right here is saying during the oral history is shady because, excuse me, you got two parts. You got the people who want them out, and you got people who want them there. So what he's saying with the oral history, it's going both ways when it comes to this part. It says business owners face the loss of needed employees. What was it? Martha Hanson, recently widowed, desperately needed the help of her hired hand. Matt Fremlin, who ran a butcher shop, told the aged Horace Menser and Dallas Dabness he would defend them if they wanted to stay. In some cases, white families were raising black children. Mr. E.B. Riley lives a few miles to the northward of this place. 4 years ago, a Negro woman died at his house, leaving an infant. Mr. Riley and his wife took care of it and have kept it up this time. The newspaper reported. In the last week, he has been warned several times that he must take that 4-year-old child out of the county or risk the consequences. Mr. Riley, not knowing what to do, came to town for advice. The only advice that can be given in such a case, considered with justice and liberty, is to keep the child and defend his rights with shotguns if necessary. So right there, that's letting you know the violence of our oppressor. That's where it always comes down to. If there's something wrong and he can't do it, is to pick up a shotgun and take justice for yourself, man. Right. That's what he's always about. Lust. Murder is just lust to him. He needs to kill. He needs it. It's either a bear, a lion, a brother or sister in the street, a damn dog. He needs to kill. It's lustful for him to kill. It's a Sheriff John Mackingham returned to Comanche. Comanche, Salagi, the day after the mob rode through, faced only bad choices, doing nothing with alienate community leaders. But as he explained to the local paper, deputizing 50 or 100 men to battle the mob would be Aryan neighbor against neighbor, and be produced of feuds that would be handed down to the next generation. So right here, listen, this is how ironic it is. Right here, the sheriff is like saying, listen, we can't do this, because if we keep fighting, Our next generation is gonna hate us. You know what I'm saying? The townspeople and the farm people is gonna hate us. We're gonna grow to hate each other. So out of brotherhood, we should stop. And this is what so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians should understand: why brotherhood is a weapon, and why loving each other is the most important thing out of everything. Because with brotherhood, you will put all differences aside and then serve your God, man.
Right.
Do your laws, statutes, and commandments. But when we keep fighting, when there's Bloods versus Crips and MSG, MS-13 and Latin Kings and other whatever other groups there are out there that goes against each other, that black people are gangs in. All we know is to murder each other, fight each other. And one argument over something is a brother is guaranteed to die on the street. You fighting because what? A dollar fell, or a brother scuffed your sneakers. Somebody might die in that conversation if something is not spoken right. If someone feels threatened or someone feels emasculated, a brother's gonna die over a goddamn Jordan, a goddamn Nike shoe that's $7 to make in a goddamn factory. You know what I'm saying? But let's see where we left off at.
The nearest.
Okay.
The nearest outside.
Right. The nearest outside help, a band of Texas Rangers were several hundred miles away and did not arrive until August 3rd, 8 days after the lynching. By then, the blacks had already fled. While the community was waiting for the Rangers, small scrimmages were fought between the law and order. People in the mob vigilantes sent threats to notes to the people who thought they could oppress them. One such note sent to J.F. Manning and signed committee warned, "You think you are very smart to try and play with both sides." The other night, you was standing in with the mob. We hear that you are on the other side now. So slow, or you may pull on the tight end of the rope. This verdict is crazy. Town and Country reported Manning, not one to be intimidated, pistol whipped a man named Tom Stewart, whom he accused of making the threat. For the blacks, the choice was clear. The August 5th edition of the Town and Country county newspapers announced the Negroes have all left town in obedience to the mandate of the mob. There are not more than 50 or 40 or 50 of them. Several of them had lived here long enough to acquire homes of their own. Of course, it need not be said that they earned every dollar worth of property they had by honest labor. They sacrificed whatever little stuff they had for money, enough to get away. They left behind a county of turmoil. Listen, that's letting you know. Listen, the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of, because he knows, the writer right here knows that. Listen, those black people earned their land. They earned it honestly, not like your oppressor though. Your oppressor stole everything. Right. Everything he worked for, he stole it. I don't give a damn if he goes to work and earns an honest living. You stole that too. Most of these businesses that they own, guess what? We built off what? Slavery labor, man. White people, listen, our oppressor in this generation hate to hear us complain or so-called complain about slavery. Well, guess what? We have to, because it makes white people who they are today. J.P. Morgan, guess what? That's made of black slavery. Made of black slavery. Some of these, Boss, all that made of black slavery, man. All these fashion, fashion industries, music industries, the food, whatever. All these high industries that make all these brands were built of black labor, man, or black inventions. Parataza.
And what you were saying so hard by One West, even in this article, even when it wasn't slavery and they was working and our oppressors still took what they was working.
Of course.
They pulled I guess they pulled, you know what I'm saying? They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps.
Right, of course.
And they stole their boots and the straps.
Yeah, of course. They tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You ain't got boots on. You know what I'm saying? You don't got boots on. You barefooted. You can't even afford the boots that they're telling you to pull the boots strap up from.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you have boots, guess what? You paying for it monthly. You gotta pay for them boots. You know what I'm saying? You don't own those. You renting them boots. But let me see, because there's some other part too I want to get to. This still goes into. I'm gonna skip down. All right, there's another part, right? So it says 1886 expulsion, Comanche County, Texas, and period after the Civil War, black codes recreated from a slavery in southern states. So it's by the same person, Elliot Jaspin, Washington Bureau, Comanche. There's a telling detail in the story of Tom McNeil's escape after murdering Sally Steffens. When McNeil was captured and turned over to a posse, he was wearing no shoes. Newspapers reported from the time showed that McNeil covered approximately 15 miles of rough countryside over 2 days, outwitting men on horseback before he was caught. His barefoot flight, as described by Nanny Green Little in a 1942 local history book, is more than a story of desperation or stockism. It captures the fate of African Americans following the Civil War. When the war ended, white farmers and businessmen wanted to put ex-slaveries back to work. Exactly, and that's why they created the prison systems. White Southerners who believe African Americans were naturally lazy. Remember, they always thought we were lazy. That concept I could never understand, right? So it says white Southerners who believe African Americans were naturally lazy said they would never labor willingly. That's their solution in the black codes, right? So how can you say we are naturally lazy when we built everything? We made inventions, like I always say, right? And people got to understand when it comes to inventions have to do with being comfortable, doing the work. You know what I'm saying? Making the work easier for you, right? So, like for example, a black man created a broom, right? So before the broom was created, how you think we would sweep things? How you think we would rake things up and do this? Did it the hard way. So we had to create something that was easier to get the work done faster. So the things when you see that's made by black people, especially during slavery, is for to make things easier for us. So why we don't get killed? We don't get raped. Our children won't be sold here or sold there. Those inventions came off what? Not being lazy. We could have been lazy, because if we were lazy, we would have had to build a lot of things that America, especially our oppressor, used day by day that he loves so much. The goddamn bulletproof vest, guess what? Made by a black man. And guess what? Those devils, those night riders, they love to put a bulletproof vest on. Why? Because they rather go home before you go home. Right. And a bulletproof vest is what? Made by a black man. They hate niggas so goddamn much, but they wear something that protects their so-called precious life that was made by a black man. That's how you know the white man's the devil that the Bible speaks of, man. But continuing, right? So when I left off, newspaper was pointing that the where's the lazy part? Oh, I got it. The solution and the black codes between 1865 and 1866, whites in Texas and all southern states except Arkansas, which did not recognize the what was that?
Appellation.
Right. Hold on, I can't smudge my screen.
Salaki, I don't know if I may. Yeah, I think it's appellation.
I think so. Of slavery until 1867. I can't read it on my screen. My screen is not how your screen looks. The Texas rushed through a series of laws that recreated slavery in all but name, which the details vary from state to state. All the laws rested on two basic ideas. Blacks either entered into labor contracts or they be considered what is it? Vagrants. Okay, vagrants could be arrested and forced to work on public projects or private farms to pay off their fines. See, this is what I'm saying. They made, if you ain't want to go back into slavery, if you don't want to work with a contract, you're gonna either be to them a vigilante or a vagrant, as they said, and then they're gonna force you back onto a farm as a slave. Go ahead.
Salaki, so I see it right here. They said where was that? Said labor contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually a sharecropper.
Right.
That's what it is. The slave had to go back on that field.
Right.
And sharecrop.
Right.
But they were slaves yesterday, and they have to do the same thing that following day, but they free.
Right. Absolutely. Mississippi, the first be arrested and forced to the work on the public projects or private farms to pay off the fines. Right. Mississippi, the first state to attack black codes, forced a class of landless peons by making it illegal for blacks to rent or lease land outside of towns or cities. Though they could own land, and by ordering that every black have proof of lawful employment. Wait, let me read that again. It said, forced a class landless peons by making it illegal for blacks to rent or lease land outside of towns or cities, though they could own land, and by ordering that every black have proof of lawful employment. So they could only own land and by showing that they had lawful employment. You couldn't just own land because it said you own it. And that's the funny thing. That's what they did. They do that all the time. You know what I'm saying? Listen, they try to do it to those people who've never seen the light of day of the new world. Some people that still be in the jungle and all that. They leave them alone. Why? Because everybody knows how evil the so-called oppressor could be. If you don't think if they wanted to, they could take a boat to one of those tribes in the jungle and just be like, listen, this is us now. We belong. You listen. You're my slave. I'm your master. They could do that if they want to, but now they want to feel like they're humane. They have some type of compassion. We can't do that no more, and blah 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 blah. When they still do it technically by these contracts, by these laws. Go ahead.
Salaki, so well, they will be asking for have proof of lawful employment.
Right. If they go onto one of those islands, right? You have employment here. You got a job.
That's what they're gonna do.
Right. Let's see.
Texas, which
Right. Texas, which enact its black codes in the fall of 1866, designed them to keep blacks heroes of woods and drawers of waters, said W.C. Dalrymple, a state senator representing Travis and Wilson counties in the legislature at the time. Labor contracts were mandatory for jobs lasting longer than 1 month. Once under contract, laborers were at the mercy of their employers, who could find workers for everything from sickness to idleness. And that's what they do today. They do that today. They still do that. They don't want you to be sick, and they don't want you to not do nothing. You got to be doing something. You on a job, make sure you working. Don't just stand there and you going to just make, you on the clock making money. You stealing time. You know what I'm saying? To them. Your oppressors, you telling you stealing time if you just being idle. Mm-hmm.
Oh, Salakia. So if I may, you know what I'm saying, the oppressor is such an oppressor because they would have you come in at a specific time,
right?
Specific time, but there's no specific time to leave. You really believe that?
Right.
There's no specific time, but the specific time say there, but it could go over.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So you got a Pacific time that say that you're leaving. You leave at 7 o'clock. Okay, that's what it says. But it don't really mean 7 o'clock. It don't really mean it's 7 o'clock. And when there's, you know what I'm saying, when there's no work to do, they would say, well, you could leave, but I didn't, I'm not signing off on that.
Mm-hmm. Right. So next paragraph we don't need, but I want to get into this before we go into a few scriptures and get out of here, right? So the next part of it, same author, right? This part says this story contains explicit racist slurs. So Comanche. So it says, what's a nigger, right? Nicole Harmon had to ask her mother. The other kids in grade school taunt her with the word and warned each other not to go too close to her. But she didn't know why. In 1983, and nearly 100 years after blacks had been driven out, Nicole's family landed by chance in a lily white Comanche County. Her mother, Evelyn Young, was struck with appendicitis while visiting a friend here. Too sick to move after an operation, Young stayed on with her daughters, Tyler, Nicole, and infant Tylee. Young and her children were nearly desolated and had few friends when they arrived. The world had changed since 1886 expulsion, but the civil rights era had passed Comanche by. It remained a tight-knit community where blacks were not welcome. So after all those years, right, it's letting you know that blacks were not ever welcome back in this community. So that's letting you know after they left, they made this community an all-white community. They wanted to make sure that it stayed white. Just remember what the sheriff said. Listen, we can't be fighting each other. The people in the town and the people in the farm, we can't fight each other because the generations from now, we will be fighting each other. Right. We want to love each other. But since we're neighbors, since we're brothers, since we're family, listen, we need to work this out. And guess what? They worked it out. They worked it out so much. It's said right here that a lot has changed. But it says what remained is a tight-knit community where blacks were not welcome. So out of everything, they made sure to keep that. They make sure to keep that community now a white-kept community where blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians were never welcome ever again. Right? So let me see. The next part says where blacks were not welcome. Comanche is a hard town when we are black. It's like when you are black. One of Nicole's teachers would later say the first class Young recalled in an interview came when she took her children to buy some potato chips. A white woman in the store announced the two things she hated were wetbacks and niggas. Listen, that's letting you know how the devil is. She goes on the loud. I'm like, attention, everybody. We hate wetbacks and we hate niggas. Thank you. Listen, that's how you know he's a devil. Parataza.
So that's how you know blacks and Hispanics and the Americans are the children of God.
Right.
They are being depressed together.
Absolutely being oppressed together. And that's letting you know, listen, love your brother like you love yourself, man. It's important, right? And we got a scripture for that too. But listen, just think about that. She announced this. Uh-huh.
And this is in Texas.
Yeah, this is in Texas. Nah, this is in Texas. Listen, even if they're not, she knows that they're south of the border. She knows Mexicans are down there. Even if there's no Mexicans here, I'm letting you know I don't like Mexicans and I don't like black people. She's letting you know you in here. All right, cool. I don't like y'all though. That's letting you know how much hatred is in this community, right?
And Slaki, so she ain't say no Jewish man.
No, of course
she
not.
ain't say no Jewish man.
Right.
Because that probably actually was a Jew who said it.
Right. Could have been. Listen, they all the same. They all the same. Even if he has a top hat on or not. You know what I'm saying? If he has one of those puffy shirts from the whatever era, the Renaissance era, no matter what he has a bow tie, he has a Ferrari, they all are oppressor who's a devil. So I try to get the children to ignore what she was saying. Young recalled, the lady walked over behind us and said it again. I just kind of turned around to her and told her, you know, you had better be careful with what you hate, because if you check your family history, you may have some niggers or wetbacks swinging from your branches. A shoving match ensued, and Young was rescued by Joe. I'm not sure. Harriet, the man who was visiting and later married. The man she was visiting and later married. Okay. Life in the town did not get any easier not long after starting school. Nicole had to ask her mother what this word nigga meant. Young recalled in an interview. The next time one of the kids call you a nigga, just ask them to spell it for you. Young said that she told her daughter, and if they can't spell it, they don't know what it is, but don't blame them. It's not them that's really talking, it's the adults. The kids don't know that they were doing wrong. They think it's a way of playing with you because you are different and you are unique. And this is where her mother made a mistake. The kids is absolutely like the parents. You know what I'm saying? They are absolutely like the parents. Why? Because you learn from your parents. You're gonna be just like your parents. So you can't say we can't blame the kids. It's their parents. Well, guess where their parents learned from? When they were kids, what did their parents say to them? Don't trust these niggas, don't do this, don't do that. They live in a town where all is white people and they're racist. So if they're not going to be racist, guess what? The next white man is going to be racist. The next white woman is going to be racist. The next group of white kids is going to be racist. They're going to be forced to be racist. Why? Or they're going to suffer the same fate as their black counterpart that they love so much. Paradazar?
Salaki, sir. And that goes, the kids is going on these lynching parties.
Right.
The kids, you know what I mean? There's a history that the children was there.
Right.
And to this day, we have pictures, you know what I'm saying? Smiling little girls.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And smiling and enjoying and watching our brothers, watching the wetback and the niggas getting lynched.
Right, of course. Absolutely, man. And this is why, listen, that scripture where it says they are estranged from the womb. I'm paraphrasing. That's talking about our oppressor. He's evil from the goddamn womb, man. He in his heart, he's already evil when he comes out. He's already evil. He already has the lust to attack and destroy. But the difference is his parents is programming and telling him where to focus that evil is. The focus that evil at a so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian. Because listen, if they don't focus that evil, if he loves everybody, what ends up happening to your oppressor? He gets angry, he gets depressed, and what happens? He ends up going on a shooting spree and shoot up the goddamn school. He ends up being an emo, and kids and his people end up bullying him. And what happens? He goes to the school and starts shooting everybody a gun out his goddamn book bag. And you find out later why. His parents didn't love him. They thought he was weird. His classmates thought he was weird. Nobody loved him. All he could get appreciation from was the internet or people who are like minds like him. And this is why so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we need to stick together. That's right. We need to. That's why we need our own towns again. Listen, don't be discouraged, right? And don't be confused. Remember, we had black towns. We had black cities. Don't think we can't do it or can't do it again. Because we did. Every town we went to, every town we had, you'll see in this series was destroyed. Paratazar?
Salaki. So if I may, because this is so sad, because you know what I'm saying, our so-called black, you know what I'm saying, babies, or our so-called, you know what I'm saying, Hispanic babies is going to school and getting mentally ripped to pieces. Right. You know what I'm saying? Emotionally ripped to pieces because this is happening every day. And the reinforcement is coming from a parent who already been mentally destroyed.
That's right.
Mentally ripped to pieces. You know
right.
what I'm saying? Hang out yet. No, who's, you know what I'm saying? Who's this? Because there's no counseling there because they both destroyed.
Right.
And when, you know what I'm saying, when his brother or sister grows up, they're going to be emotionally destroyed.
Right.
Because they in this town and there's no safe place. So,
Absolutely. Listen, damn right. Let me see. Chips. Blah, blah, blah.
The next, you want the
No,
next
no.
one?
I'm just trying to see. I don't want. This is a long part too. I don't want to read the whole thing. I want to get a few scriptures in too. But let me see another good part. What bad niggas? I tried the children ignore. Blah blah blah. Along with starting school, Nicole asked her mother what the meant. Next time, all right. Next part. Nicole proved more usual than even her mother imagined. A tomboy who excelled at sports. Nicole was bigger than the other girls. I was more muscular, she recalled in the interview. It was an effortless kind of strength. In junior high school, Nicole's basketball coach thought that those guarded in Nicole were slacking off. The coach, Marcy Gasco, decided to try it herself. Within seconds, Gasco, then 5'8" and weighed 150 pounds, had a rude awakening. She could push me around pretty well, Gasco remembered. But it wasn't only Nicole's size and power. Her coach discovered that while on the court, Nicole scrutinized opponents, found their weak points, and ruthlessly attacked. You might get something by her the first time, Glasgow explained, but if you did it again, she would steal the ball, partly because she was a gifted athlete. The name calling stopped, but the athletics also meant she could face her tormentors. So like tormentors. What I would do is find sneakily ways to actually get the anger out, and would be playing football against the person or beat them on a touchdown. Nicole said Becky Reiser, her high school basketball coach, noticed that telltale sign was Nicole's grin. Yeah, that's what's going on. Let me see something else. Blah blah stuff. Blah blah. Kobe early young for opposing team. Shout out to everybody. Checked in. All right. So the next part is to go down a few. It says when Kenji played early, Young said a fan from the opposing team shouted, "Somebody needs to check that nigga and see how old she really is." I stood up and told him that my daughter, so I know her age. And of course, she said some remark like F you nigga. Things got ugly, and Young and the heckler were thrown out of the game. But the incident led to an understanding between mother and daughter. Mama don't pay them any attention. Nicole told her mother, I got them zoned out. I don't hear them anyway. Some things couldn't be zoned out. During the O.J. Simpson trial in 1995, the family started getting death threats. Comanche County Deputy Sheriff Ron Moe, a city police officer at the time, recorded an interview pulling Nicole and her sister out of the school and offering them to move the family to a safer location. Young told the police, I'm not running. If they step foot on my property, then I'll call you afterwards to see who is that I just had to deal with. Nicole, however, remembers at the worst time of her life, that was the time I was really afraid. That was the one time that I did not sleep at all. I thought I was going to die. The threats came to nothing, and Nicole's basketball prowess made her unstoppable. In 1997, Nicole's junior year, the team made it to the state finals her senior year and won the state championship the first time in more than 40 years. And that's really it. It really just goes into how Nicole rest of her life went. But listen, that's how that right there is the whole basically one account, because there's many accounts of what happened during this Comanche. I know I keep messing it up, but Comanche County in Texas. You know what I'm saying? It's letting you know that a mob of over 500 oppressors, white people, came and kicked out innocent blacks, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians from their homes, right? And it said right here in the article or the paper, and remember, this guy wrote a book. This is a whole book, but this is portions from the book about this incident. And he's saying that, listen, these black people earned their living. They earned the right to own these houses. They paid for it. They paid for it honestly, but yet they was kicked out rudely and disrespectfully. That's how you know our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you need to understand why he's the devil. He's the devil because even if you love him deep down inside, he's going to always show his face. He's going to always show how they are. Just look at what we're dealing with right now. In this incident, we're proving that black people are the real Jews of the Bible, the chosen people of God. White people don't know how to act. Jewish people don't know how to act right now. They're saying anything that comes to their mind, that just shows you their character. That just shows you how their spirit is, and they will always revert back to the lustful bastards that they are. Paratazar.
So then, if I may, you got the people have to understand our black, Hispanic, Native American Indian. That was back in 1995.
Right.
She's going through that in 95. That wasn't the 1800s.
Right.
That wasn't the 1800s.
Right.
They was calling, you know what I'm saying? They was calling them. They would use nothing but words of wetbacks and niggers. That's 1995. You know what I'm saying? I have a nephew who was born in 95. This ain't in his 60s.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? This is not in the 40s. This is in the 90s.
Right.
This is in the 90s, and they was going through this.
Right. Absolutely. But if I could, right, let me get this one scripture. Let me get Romans chapter 12, verse 16.
Come.
Romans chapter 12, verse 16.
Romans chapter 12, verse 16.
Right.
Romans chapter 12, verse 16.
Right.
Be of the same mind.
It says what?
Be of the same mind.
And that's what blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians got to do. Remember what scripture we bring out always in the beginning of in this series. Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Remember the days of old. Consider many generations. Ask your father, ask your elders. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to tell you. And this is the thing that every black, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian, what we should teach each other. If your father didn't tell you, if your grandmother or your grandfather didn't tell you, if your mother didn't tell you, if a brother in the street ain't going to tell you, I'm going to tell you. That comes out the word of God in the Bible. It says what? Brothers are?
Be of the same mind.
We supposed to be what?
Of the same mind.
Right.
One towards another.
And that's important. We need to be of the same mind, one towards another. Because if we're of the same mind, we're going to think the same. We're going to do the same. We're not going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to follow these laws. We're not going to do this. We're going to celebrate this and not celebrate that. We're not going to have these people in our land. We're going to have these people in our land. We're going to do dealings with these people, but we're not going to do dealings with these people. We're going to serve this God and not serve these gods. When we all come together, when we be the same mind one towards another, we're going to flourish. We're going to absolutely get out of this captivity. We're going to rule the nation, but it starts with our mindset like this. A mindset like this, they are scared of. And that's why they're scared of black people hearing that the black people from Hebrews to Negroes. They're scared of that. They're scared of somebody, Kanye West, talking about black people being the children of Israel. Kyrie Irving's talking about the children of Israel. Why? Because who's the next person to talk about it? Dave Chappelle? Who's the next person who's going to say it? What was it? Mayweather? Because Mayweather just said it after the whole Kyrie incident. Talking about we are Israelites. We are Jews. Damn near, what's his name said it too, I believe, recently also. He used to play on the Nets. It was married to Lala. What's his name again? Carmelo Anthony. He said it on a TikTok or Instagram. He said it. So listen, sooner or later, we all gonna come to the conclusion that we're gonna have to do what, Paratazar?
Be of the same mind one to another.
Right, keep going.
Mind not high things.
Right, mind not the high things. Mind not those women in the cars and those jobs that's gonna tell you need to leave their brother behind. You know what you should do? You should get a diploma, do this and that, and go live with the white people in the community. Because why? I'm gonna give you a better job. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. but you just gotta leave your people alone. You gotta do that. Listen, and it's funny because it goes back to the movie we were watching. What was the name of the movie again?
Oh, Aaron Love Angela.
Right, Aaron Love Angela, the 1976 movie where a black man and a Puerto Rican girl trying to come together, but they scared to tell everybody that they're together. But in that movie, they're in the most poverty I ever seen for the 70s. You know what I'm saying? It was broken down and everything. But the point I'm saying is, even in all of that poverty, everybody knew what to do, man. Everybody was on one accord. And sadly, it was drug selling there, drug selling here, prostitution here and there. But black people loved each other, man, in that movie. It showed. You would see a prostitute, and it's just like, damn, why you gotta be a prostitute? Why you got a drug deal? We can't stop this or solve it. They will at least try to work things out. Try to forget these things that's gonna divert you from the truth, man. It says what? Mind not high things. Keep going.
Mind not high things, but
Consider it.
Oh, consider to men of low estate.
And that's what's important, man. Don't worry about the things that's high. Don't worry about those people who have everything. Worry about the people who's at a low state. Worry about the people who don't have enough. Worry about your neighbor that's fighting to eat, just like how you fighting to eat. Worry about those people who's high on drugs, who have no mothers or father, who's a widow. Imagine the women who's out there who had their husband killed by what? Gang violence or violence by the police officers. And now you got to raise your kids in this God-forsaken, awful world without a man leading you. What you going to do? That's why it says, mind not the high things, but consider the men of low estate. Keep going.
But wise in your own conceit.
Right, listen. And that's what's important. That's what's important, man. That we need to remember that once we come together as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we're going to come out of this hellhole. We got to, and not only that, we got to remember we're all at this lower state. All of us, all so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, you had a 9-to-5 job. Guess what? You had a lower state. If you working, so like, if you working in the NBA and you making millions of dollars, guess what? You at a lower state. You think you making millions. You think you're making a lot of money, but guess what? You working minimum wage. You know how you working minimum wage? How much you make? Well, LeBron makes, we'll say, without his endorsements, let's just say right now he makes, well, let's say 50 million a year. I don't know. I'm just piggyback. I'm just guessing at the moment. Even if it's higher than that, let's say it's a 200 million LeBron makes. How much you think the Lakers make a year? How much billions you think the Lakers make a year compared to what Kobe makes every year playing for the Lakers? He makes minimum wage. Just like how you make minimum wage at a job. A job will pay you $10, $2, blah, 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 whatever your state minimum wage is. Listen, I saw the funny thing, I was looking at one minimum wage of one state minimum wage was still like at 5 and something. I said, God damn, we're struggling, man. And guess what? That company, that business you work for, guess how much they make? They making millions while you bring home $200, $300 every 2 weeks, $500 every 2 weeks. Hell, even if you bringing home what, $1,500, $2,000 every 2 weeks, you're still making minimum wage compared to your oppressor, man. That's why it's letting you know you should worry about the people, but consider the men of low states, because that's how you're going to come together as a people and worry about how you can make it into the goddamn kingdom of heaven. How you going to make it there? Because it's not going to start by thinking about people who's on a high state, not thinking about Elon Musk and what's the dude from what you call it? Amazon. Jeff Bezos. You worry about these high statues, devils. I want to be like them. You ain't gonna never be like them. You're never gonna be like these so-called Jewish people who run everything. You know why? Because their plan is to keep you at a low estate. And this is why the scripture says we need to gather the people at a low estate. Consider those people at a low estate, because why? Those are those people who's gonna make sure you become rich. You become wealthy. You become a people that has a town, that has a black airport, a black laundromat, supermarket, library, school system, police department. Make sure that we police our goddamn selves, man. Because it's possible. We can do it. You know, those Jewish people have their own police department, right? We know that. If you don't know, guess what? Go Google it. You know, the NY Police Department, they police in Israel. If you don't know that, go look that up. The NYPD polices in Israel. If they don't police there now, they police there before. You know why? Because the NYPD department is a separate organization. They're not owned by the New York State. They're their own private police department. So because of that, guess what? You're gonna see the NYPD in goddamn Israel, man. So why we weren't? Let's worry about ourselves, man. Let's worry about our brothers and sisters in this estate. But if I could, right, let me get this one other scripture that promotes absolutely amazing brotherhood, right? Let me get Exodus 4 and 10. Exodus 4 and 10.
Exodus chapter 4.
Exodus 4 verse 10.
Chapter 4 verse 10.
Mm-hmm. Take your time.
Exodus chapter 4 verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, what have thou done?
Right. So if you don't know, Exodus 4 verse 10, this is where Moses is talking to the Most High, right? And this is what the Most High is, this is what Moses said to the Lord. Keep going.
The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
Exodus.
Oh, Exodus. Sorry,
not Genesis. Exodus 4 verse 10.
Exodus chapter 4.
Verse 10. So remember, all right, I'm going to go. This is where the Most High is talking to Moses, is telling him to go back and go get your brothers, man. Don't remember, Moses left Egypt and started his own life, got married and having a farm and forgot about brotherhood, man. Forgot about what it truly meant to be at a low state like his brothers were, right? So Moses and the Most High is telling him, like, go get your brothers. Now, if you read verse 1 real quick, it says, Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice, for they will say, the Lord has not appeared unto thee, right? So Moses is trying to give all these excuses why he can't go save his people. Drop down to verse 10. What verse 10 says?
And Moses said unto the Most High, my Lord,
Mm-hmm.
I am not equipped.
Uh-huh.
Neither therefore, neither since thou
heretofore,
neither since thou have spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of a slow tongue.
Right. So basically Moses is saying, like, listen, I'm not capable of going out there and talking to my people because I have a speech impediment. I can't speak as well as another brother might be able to go speak. So Moses is telling the Most High, like, listen, I don't know. I can't. I'm not capable of this. I can't do this job as good as you think I could. And what did the Most High said to Moses? Keep going.
Verse 11. And the Most High said unto him, who have made man's mouth?
Right. So the Lord said unto Moses, who have made man's mouth? So he's asking Moses, who made that mouth that you have? Keep going.
Or who maketh the dumb?
Right.
Or deaf?
Right.
Or the seeing? Or the blind?
Right.
Have not I the Most High?
Right. So he's saying, so the Most High is basically saying, like, listen, I made you dumb. I made people deaf. I made people see. I made the blind. I've made that. I'm the Lord. So you weren't about a speech impairment. I can go out there and give you the spirit to speak. You weren't about you can't speak. Keep going.
Verse 12. Now, therefore, go and I will be with thy mouth, and teach thee what thou shalt say.
Right.
Verse 13. And he said, "Oh, my Lord, sin, I pray thee,
Right.
by the hand of him whom thou wilt send."
Right. Keep going.
Verse 14. And the anger of the Most High was kindled against Moses.
Right.
And he said, "Is not Aaron the Levite thy brother?"
Say it again.
Is Aaron the Levite thy brother?
Say it again.
Is Aaron the Levite thy brother?
And you got to understand how heavy this is, man. You got to remember, the Moses is trying to get out of this, saying like, listen, I can't speak, I can't do this and this. The Most High is telling him like, listen, I make people deaf. I make the blind. I make it for them the see, the dumb, the deaf. I do all of that. And Moses is saying like, well, who are you gonna say? Who's the man? And the Lord is so angry at him that it's like you don't even realize you forgot about your brother. It says, I was kindled against Moses, and he said, is not Aaron the Levite thy brother? Don't your brother know how to speak Hebrew? Don't your brother can speak perfectly fine? Keep going, brothers. What else it says?
Come on. I know that he can speak well.
I know what?
That he can speak well.
But Moses said, but I have a speech impairment.
He can speak well.
But I don't know if I can do it.
I know that he can speak well.
I know your brother can speak well. I know brotherhood is a goddamn weapon. I know you love your brother, right? And he loves you, right? So what happened, brothers? I know your brother's going to do what?
Speak well.
So I know your brother's going to speak well for you. Because guess what? He's at a low state just like you are. Just like how you should be, where you came from. Keep going.
And also, behold, he cometh forth to meet thee.
He do what?
He's coming forth to meet thee.
Uh-huh.
And when he seeth thee, he will be glad.
He's going to be what?
Be glad.
He's going to be mad.
He's going to be glad.
He's going to be angry.
He will be glad.
He's going to be glad. Keep going.
In his heart.
Listen, and that's brotherhood, man. That's one of the ultimate brotherhoods in the scriptures, man. You got Moses, and God told you, listen, I know you can't speak, and you're making me angry, but did you forget about your brother? Did you forget about your Levite brother that can speak? And he can speak very well. And guess what? He's coming to see you, and he's going to be glad to see you. You know why? Because brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood goes a long way. It goes a long way to the point, guess what? You're going to save goddamn your people. You're going to go out there and battle Pharaoh. That's like us getting all our people out of the goddamn ghetto and doing what? Battling the goddamn president of the United States. Why? Because we love each other, man. And guess what the next verse says? Keep going.
Verse 15.
Right.
And thou shalt speak unto me. Speak unto him. And put words in his mouth.
Keep going.
And I will be with thy mouth. And with his mouth. And will teach you what ye shall do.
Listen, he's going to be with Moses and Aaron when he speaks. When Aaron speaks, guess what? The Lord is with them. Because why? The Most High tells Moses, Moses tells Aaron, and Aaron's going to tell the people. That is absolutely brotherhood, man. Ain't no better brotherhood than that. Where guess what? Your brother might not be able to speak, but guess what? I'm going to speak for my brother, man. He might not be able to walk. Well, guess what? I'm going to walk for my goddamn brother. If he can't see, guess what? I'm going to see for him. That's why brotherhood is a weapon, man. That's why we teach brotherhood is a goddamn weapon here. And guess where that came from? From Commanding General Yohana, man. Since 1969 at the ISUPK, man. And that's where you're going to find it at. You're going to find it here. You're going to find brotherhood is a weapon here and only here, man. Keep going, brothers. What else it says?
Verse 16.
Right.
And he shall be thy spokesman.
He's gonna be thy what?
Spokesman.
When you have brotherhood, what's gonna happen?
Be thy spokesman unto the people.
Keep going.
And he shall be, even he shall be to thee instead of a mouth.
Right.
And thou shall be to him instead of a God.
Listen, that's so amazing right there, man. That's letting you know how brotherhood works. How brotherhood works is down to right here in these scriptures. And this is why so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians need to read the scriptures. We need to learn the law, statutes, and commandments. Because when we learn the law, statutes, and commandments, you will realize how amazing this scripture is, man. How amazing it is to go out there thinking you are in the world by yourself and you feared. Why? I can't see. I can't walk. I can't talk. I have this type of disability. I have that type of disability. And when you come in here, you realize it don't matter what disability you have because your brother is going to be there to help you no matter what. I don't give a damn if you can't see, walk, or talk. Guess what? All your brothers in here is going to do that to make sure the job is done. And that's brotherhood, man. And this is why it's important we do these series. We do these classes. We have the prison program. We have food drives, man. The reason why we have classes every goddamn day. Why? Because it proves that brotherhood works magnificently, man. And Moses found out that day what true brotherhood is and why he needs to go out there and save his people that are at a lower state. And this is why, and the many reasons why, as always, we read Deuteronomy 32:7. Remember the days of old, because stuff like this you need to remember. Because there's a brother out there that might be listening now that thinking, I can't be in here because I can barely talk. I don't know how to speak. I don't know how to do this. I'm scared to talk. Well, guess what? Your brother's going to teach you all that, man. Your brother's going to make sure you go up there with the spirit of the Lord. And guess what? You're going to talk for the very first time and kill it. You're going to read the Bible for the very first time and understand it. You're going to be able to get out the goddamn chair and walk on the podium and come, and the first words that come out your mouth is, we the ISUPK at a 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Started on 125th on the Comanche General Yohana. And then blaze the goddamn corner like you never blazed before. And when you get down, you ain't gonna remember a word you just said. Why? Because the Lord is with you, man. The spirit of the Most High is with you, and that comes with brotherhood. That comes with sisterhood. And like always, it starts one brother at a time. We're not asking for it just to happen overnight. That's impossible. Not overnight. Oh, everybody's gonna come. No, that's not how it works. But it starts by you coming in class. It starts by what Kanye saying, the black Jews. It starts by I always mess up the brother's name. It was Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving. It starts by him not negotiating with our oppressor, by him quitting. Little by little, it shows that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians will come together for once and for all and put their differences aside and find out that they truly are the children of God. And then we could get out to slavery, man. But with that, we the ISUPK starting out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We've been doing this since 1969, letting the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians know that you are the lost sheep of the house of Israel. As always, we have prison programs, we have food drives, we have counseling, we have different shows. So subscribes to Yonkers, ISUPK Yonkers, ISUPK Delaware, ISUPK Bronx, Let It Be Known, ISUPK headquarters, ISUPK Long Island. Listen, go on the ISUPK website, go to your look up your local your closest school, get in class, and listen. And then once again, you might have a brother like Aaron to help you out, and go speak for your people, man. But with that, I say shalom.
Different. I see the world in a different light. I see a different light. They say I'm wrong because I believe in a different light. Under the same moon, but I see a different night. All on the same world, but I live a different life. Yes, we have our differences because of differences. It's hard to be close because we always keep our distance. But the difference is, you're a slave of who owns you, and I square that life.